welcome back once again. Today, we've got another Super 7 figure to look at. Just delivered from Big Bad Toy Store. It is the brand new Super 7 Ultimates Heisei MechaGodzilla. Cool. As always, if you could like and subscribe, that would be totally rad. Now, you may recall way back in my first episode when I looked at the Biollante and the Godzilla 1989 from the Super 7 Ultimates line, and I thought that they were good, but not great. Then in the last video, I looked at the Super 7 Shogun Warriors Godzilla that I thought was extremely great, and highly recommended that one. I will link both those videos in the description for your viewing pleasure, but now let's take a look at this guy and see if he is worth your cash. And to do so, we're going to need to... Jesus God, that is a lot of stuff. So, I'm going to be spending the next 25 minutes of my life undoing twist ties. And then when that's done, we will take a look at this guy. So, see you shortly. And there you have it. Free from his restraints of zip ties and plastic. The Super 7 Ultimates Heisei MechaGodzilla. And I gotta say, sculpt-wise, he's not too bad. It's a good sculpt. I like it. Let's look at the box real quick, shall we? Yes. It's that typical that we've seen Ultimates packaging. It's got your, it's got kanji for Heisei MechaGodzilla, maybe? Or probably just MechaGodzilla, I would assume. That says Godzilla, I know that much. And then you got Heisei MechaGodzilla 1993 right there. You've got Super 7 right there. You've got ages 14 plus right there, so that's good, so I can play with it. You've got the Godzilla logo there. You've got Ultimates there. On the back, on the bottom, it's the bottom, not the back. You've got legal crap. On the back, you've got Godzilla vs. MechaGodzilla 2, which is a title that I hate because it's the third MechaGodzilla movie, not the second MechaGodzilla movie, so that's just dumb. On the side, you got nothing, and that is it for the box. Cool box. Get out of here. All right, before we look at the figure, let's take a look at accessories. Yay, accessories. Okay, accessory number one, you've got a fully unnecessary additional head with an open mouth. I say unnecessary because I feel like the engineering to make the mouth open and close on an articulated figure shouldn't be that hard to figure out. But what am I to say? What am I, an engineer, designer, man? I don't know. I don't make toys. I just look at them. So yeah, there he is. His mouth's open. That's literally the accessory. I guess we'll look at it though. I mean, it does have very nice sculpted detail in it all the way around. The eyes are painted yellow, everything else is silver. Teeth are silver, the inside of the mouth is black. That's cool. Again, not needed. The ball peg is ridiculous on this guy. Then you get another additional head, the flying head, which, again, I'm not an engineer and I don't make toys, but I don't understand why they couldn't have just made the OG head have an open and closed mouth and a swivel that goes like that so that you can have him go like that. But that's the head. It is sculpted the same, except the mouth is closed. Still very nice, very good. So that's that. He comes with his utility belt of fear, which fires the ray of doom in the movie. I don't know what the ray is called. The name has escaped me, but that's that. It snaps onto his abdomen. That is a cool little feature. The plastic is somewhat warped on mine. I did snap it on. It does not cause any issue, so that's cool. He comes with 1, 2, 3, 4 of these blast effects. They're not blast effects, they're flying effects. They plug into various parts on his body, and we will look at that when we look at the figure. But they're nice. They're done in semi-transparent, softish. Yeah, they're not hard plastic, with a little bit of yellow. for the flame, so that's cool. He comes with 2 of his shock anchors, which in the movie, when I was a young man, we didn't have these on subtitled DVD. We just had them on bootleg VHS that some guy took from a theater in Japan, and they called them shagankas or shakankas or whatever they called them. Shock anchors is what they're actually called. But yeah, they're cool looking. That's a nice little sculpt on that thing. I like it. It's also got a very sturdy wire that will not bend or give or anything. So that's nice. That's a legit sturdy little accessory there. That's cool. And then of course the big accessory is Garuda. So let's take a look at Garuda now. One additional set of accessories, and you have right and left flying hands, which cool, but articulating the fingers would have been cooler so that you didn't need to swap his hands out. But yep, that's those. Neat. And there is Garuda, and Garuda is very well sculpted. I like it. Very nice line work on it. Tons of sculpted detail on it. Nice little black accent there on the wing. The back has the thrusters, a little bit of black on those 2. The rest are done in silver. On the top, you've got a good bit of white paint with some black accents. You've got G-force done very nicely on both sides there, which looks really cool. The cockpit is done in white, and it's got a lot of really nice line work in it. The front of the cockpit, the window is done in black. The nose cone is done in black as well. The nice white accents here. Again, just a really good amount of sculpt work. It's pretty nice. I mean, they could have really just sort of half-assed it, and they didn't, I don't think. I mean, you even got the fan, the jet engines sculpted in the back there. So yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's really good. These bend down for when it transforms into his backpack. From the bottom, I mean, there's even sculpted detail, in the bottom. It does have this big block which plugs into his back, which we'll look at in a little bit. But yeah, all in all, man, I mean, that's nice. I like it. It looks good. It looks good from all angles. It is very nice. And that is it for accessories, which I'm going to say, I mean, I collect a lot of third-party Transformers figures, and a good amount of them come with a flight stand, and this did not come with a flight stand, which is kind of dumb. I mean, if you're going to have a flying mode for the figure and a flying accessory for the figure, just a basic flight stand would have been nice. I don't have a flight stand for this handy, but I do have this action figure stand, and it works. It holds it up. Not that I would display it like this. But it's your figure. If you want to display it that way, knock yourself out. It looks cool next to him. So, you definitely can display it like that. I'm going to display it on his back so that he's in his Super MechaGodzilla mode, or whatever the hell they call it. But that's the Garuda. That is the accessories. Let's take a look at the figure now. And now, let's take a look at the figure. All in all, I think it's pretty solid. There's some things I don't love. I don't think the profile of the head is great. But all in all, I think it's pretty nice. It's well sculpted. It's painted nicely. There's not a lot of paint that you could mess up on him anyway. He's silver. He's got some black. He's got yellow eyes. So, they've done a good job on it. It definitely doesn't look as plasticky as the Godzilla 89 and the Biollante. So that's good. So, you know, the head sculpt is, we already looked at the open mouth one. This is the closed mouth one that comes on it. It's nice. Yellow paint on the eyes is standard across all three of those heads. Otherwise, it looks good. The neck looks nice. It's got the sculpted details here that look really good. Chest also well sculpted, nicely done. It's got the vents under his breasts, so that looks good. It's got the vent on the arms, which looks good. It's very nice, very nicely done. Articulation for the upper body is as follows. The head spins 360. The head gets that much down and that much, well, no up. So that's your range of motion for the head. You know, the head's on a big ball peg. I feel like they could have done a hinge on the ball peg and flipped the head up for flying mode, and also put a hinge in his mouth for the jaw, and that would have eliminated the need to include two other heads. But, you know, it's fine. It's a nitpick, I guess. I mean, the heads are there. If this pops off, I'm not going to do it, because honestly, it's kind of a pain in the ass to get off. It doesn't snap on or snap off the easiest, which is why just sculpting the head properly would have been the better way to do it, or designing the head properly, I guess, for lack of a better term. The arms spin 360 around. They get out that far, so not a lot. To be fair, this piece is accurate to the suit, and it bumps up against the shoulder, so I don't know how much they could have avoided that, or so I can't really ding it, but it's not the best articulation. As far as the elbow, you can get the arm straight out, and then it's got a kind of a ratchet point. Like, you can play with it to there, but then it really wants to lock once you get to there, but you get the full 90 degrees. You get a bicep, kind of a bicep swivel, but not really. Hands move around, back and forth, no up, down. And as I stated before, the fingers are not articulated, and I'm just not thrilled with that pose. They just look like they're not spaced properly. You could probably fix that with a hairdryer or a heat gun or something. Heat them up a little bit and put them where you want them and let them cool back off. Other arms the same. Back to the details. Stomach looks good. Stomach looks good there. Now, for the stomach, you get this piece that we already discussed, and that just snaps right on like that. So if you want that look, and I probably will, that's how that works. It just snaps on there, right in the thing, and that is obnoxious. So let's talk about that. So the way his dorsals attach is right here. There's a little piece, right? There is nothing that locks this in, nothing at all. It just basically sits in there. It doesn't snap in, it doesn't lock in, it just sits on there like that. Which means, you know, for the most part it's there. But when you play with it or move it around, it just wants to pop off. It falls off all the time. In the brief time I played with it before filming the video, it fell off multiple times. So that's obnoxious. Crotch. The crotch of the beast. Waist, you get, God, you don't get a waist swivel? You get nothing. There's no waist swivel. There's no ab crunch. So that's what, I can't believe you don't get a waist swivel. God, you gotta get a waist swivel. Okay, you do. It's just really tight, but it's there. So you do get a waist swivel. No ab crunch, no forward back. Look, it fell off again. I'm just gonna leave it off. All right. The crotch of the mighty beast. Oh, and I'll add, I like that. I think that looks cool. So that's nice. Nice, well sculpted, you know, suit accurate. Then you have the legs. They get you way out to there. And they swivel more than you would ever in a million years need. So that's plenty of range of motion for the legs. You do get a bit of a swivel at the thigh. You get a considerably less than 90-degree bend on the knee. Not great, but you know, that's what you get. Both knees. Feet are, you get a slight ankle down, nothing really up, and a bit of an ankle rocker. And that's him. That's the articulation. I don't believe I've missed anything. This is him from the back. Put this back on so you can see. The tail has no articulation whatsoever. There's no hinges, no joints, no nothing. It's just a solid piece in the tail. So that is the articulation of him in his mode coming out of the box. Now let's look at how the accessories and things work with him, and then follow that up. We'll do some comparisons with some other stuff. Okay, so let's play with the accessories. We've already kind of looked at this. We'll just snap it on to just have it on, because why not? So that snaps on there. You piece of shit. So that snaps on there. The shock anchors. Now, I messed around with these a little bit before filming. So there is, in theory, a hole in each of these forearms that this is supposed to slide into. And it will do it. But it is not easy at all, as you will see. There it is. There's one of them. Okay. So that's one. That one is the only one I've gotten in so far, because that's the only one I've messed with. So, and I did it off camera. So, let's see. And I feel like there's a cutout in here, in the piece, in the forearm here, but it's not fully punched out, and it just doesn't want to go in there. So we're gonna do one, and we'll leave it at that. I'll mess with it off camera, and I'll probably eventually get it, but once it's in there, it's in, to be fair. So that's cool. That's a neat effect. That's cool. I don't hate it. I hate the execution of it. I think it's poorly done. They could have, just punched the hole out, so that it fits out of the box, so I don't have to play with it for 20 minutes to get it in there. So that's that. Let's look at the thrusters, I suppose. Again, I'm just going to leave those dorsals off because they're just going to fall off anyway. So you've got two different kinds. You've got this one, and you've got this one. And as you can see, they have different pegs, and the pegs are different because they plug into different spots. So the back of the legs take the longer peg. And let's see, baby. So that goes there. And then this one goes there, like that. And then you would put the flying head on, put the flying wrists on, and theoretically it would look like he's flying, except they don't give you a flight stand, so what the hell ever. Dumb. Like, if you're gonna give me this stuff, give me a flight stand for the guy, right? It's not too much to ask. And lastly, let's do Garuda. And again, this is probably the most impressive part of the figure. It's really nice. He snaps on, and I feel like Garuda stays on better than the dorsals, considerably better, honestly. And that is how that looks, and I like that look. I think it's good. So I think that's nice. Let me get the camera resituated, and we'll look at him. I gotta tell you, man, like, I watch a lot of Transformers toy reviews, like Bobby Skullface and MGO, and it's not easy to review a figure like this with a camera in front of your face, and so I can't even imagine if I had to transform this thing. And I collect Transformers, and I generally don't even bother transforming the Masterpiece and third-party ones as it is, but I can't imagine attempting to do it in front of a camera. So, good on those guys. All right, let me get straightened up, and we'll do some comparisons and some other stuff. Let's do some comparisons, shall we? First up, let's bust out the old measuring tape. He is 9 inches tall, so a good size figure. All right, so that's first. All right, now speaking of good sized figures, he is bigger than the Godzilla Super7 Ultimates figure that from the Biollante movie from '89. Which makes sense in the sense that the movies continually scale Godzilla up as they progress in the Heisei series. So in Godzilla vs. Biollante, he's considerably smaller than he is in Godzilla vs. MechaGodzilla. That was a choice they made for the special effects, so they didn't have to make the buildings and the cityscapes quite as realistic in the larger scale. I personally think by the end of the Heisei series he was way too big, but that's whatever. He's still not as big as the legendary Godzilla, which is also too big. But the unfortunate thing for me is that I was going to do a diorama with these two, and now I'm kind of on the fence. Although looking at it, it's not terrible, so maybe I will do something with them. Maybe I can put him on something so that they're slightly eye level, but that is how they scale. The Biollante figure from that set is right here, and is also obviously going to be smaller than him. That is how they scale. And we have the NECA, it's the NECA Heisei Godzilla. I can't remember what year it is. I want to say it's 91, but I'm probably wrong. But yeah, he's way bigger than a NECA figure. We have the Bandai MechaGodzilla, so a lot bigger. We have I've been getting these guys in. These are fun. If you're of a certain age, you'll remember the Diener space monsters. They were like these erasers you would get, like for getting good grades in school or at the dentist. So this company has been doing them, Sofubis of them. So that's how he scales with him. So that's cool. Here is the Shogun Warriors Godzilla from the last video we did. And here is the Marmot Monster Heaven. And he is a giant fat boy. Look at that guy. Don't fat shame, but the proportions on him are slightly out of whack. But that's how he scales with him. And finally, here is how he scales with a nice cold can of Hamm's. Hamm's, America's classic premium beer, born in the land of sky blue waters. Hamm's. All right, let's do some final thoughts. All right, final thoughts on this guy. Is he worth your hard-earned cash? Let's just say this as an aside. When I got this guy, which I want to say was 3 or 4 days ago, when I took him out of the packaging and I messed around with him a bit, I was really unimpressed. I was like, man, I'm going to rip this thing apart in this review. And then the more I messed with him and the more I reviewed him, for lack of a better word, my stance on him has kind of softened. I think he's okay. I definitely don't think he's as bad as I did out of the box. So I think he's an all-around solid figure, solid representation of the character. Let's look at the negatives, though. He's not really very well articulated for an articulated figure. Like, that's your range of motion for the arms. That's your range of motion for the head. So, lame. On the subject of heads, this and this are dumb. There are a lot of articulated kaiju figures at this point with heads with good range of motion and whose mouths open and close. In fact, here's one right here that I got at Toys R Us like 7 years ago for $20. So it's doable. This is an $85 figure. I feel like that's something that they should be able to solve instead of me having to pull the head off of a figure. And that's the one time when I do that where I feel like it makes me kind of uncomfortable. I don't want to break this thing. It is well built all in all, but I don't want to have to yank the head off just because I want his mouth to be open. That's really dumb. Really dumb. So that's probably my biggest knock on him is that. My next one would be these dorsals that won't stay in his back, which would have been such an easy fix. All you need to do is put a couple of male pegs on the back here, put a couple of female holes on the back there, pop it in, it will not pop out. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, as they say. So dumb, man, dumb. Just an easy fix. So what else? The Chaka Khans, cool in concept. They actually do look cool. Poorly executed. It's just another design, snafu there. Where why make this difficult? They should just pop into the hole. You're not going to ruin the look of the figure by poking a hole in there for that to go into. An easy, accessible hole for that to go into. No, you're not going to see it. It's not going to look terrible on your shelf. So just do it right. As far as the good goes, it is painted. It's painted nicely. There's not a lot of, it's a silver robot with some white accents on the backpack and some black accents at the joints and yellow eyes. So kind of hard to screw up, but it is painted nicely. I like that the paint isn't that kind of like matte or that fakey looking finish that the Godzilla 89 and the Biollante have. It doesn't really look as toy-like, so I do like that. So that's a plus. It does feel well built, other than, like I said, when you have to yank this head off, which is a bit uncomfortable. But it's a fairly hefty figure. It is pretty well built. I don't feel like if it fell off the shelf, it's not gonna break into a million pieces or anything like that. So that's good. The Garuda accessory is really nice. I like it a lot. It's well done. It's well built. It's well painted. It's well sculpted. It's cool looking. It's really good. Again, too bad there's not a flight stand with it. And I guess last but not least, the ultimate choice in this is: do you need a Heisei MechaGodzilla? And if you do, what choices do you have? Because there's not a ton that I can think of off the top of my head. I certainly don't have very many. So for me, it'll fill a nice hole in my collection. I think I only have the two figures that I showed in the comparison. So that's right there, makes it a purchase that I don't regret. So if it's a figure that you want, that you need on your shelf, The price is $85. If you can get it for less, if you can get it on sale or something, you're definitely not going to regret picking it up, I don't think. If you pay full price for it, I still don't think you're going to necessarily regret it, but you may have, you might have that little pang of buyer's remorse. But I think all in all, I would give this a soft recommend. I would definitely not say like rush out and grab this guy. But again, it's a soft recommend. I don't think he's bad in any way, shape, or form. He's just not great. He's fine. So that's where we're going to leave it for this guy. I don't want to be wishy-washy, but ultimately at the end of the day, the choice is up to you. There's nothing that stands out about this guy that makes me say don't buy it. There's nothing that stands out about this guy that makes me say, go out and get it right now. So he's fine, which is sometimes fine. So on that brilliant bit of knowledge, thanks for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and I will see you next time.